With Black Panther out in theaters and crossing $1 billion at the box office as of just the other day, Ryan Coogler is in the news quite a bit, and rightfully so. At just 31, he's proven himself to be a masterful director, writer, and storyteller. And nearly every time he was brought up, he was referred to as the director of Creed. And people talked about how great Creed and Black Panther are and compared and contrasted the two movies. Now don't get me wrong, I adore both Black Panther and Creed. But seeing these two movies share the spotlight got me thinking, and I realized that Coogler's first film, and in my opinion his best, has slipped through the cracks of today's culture, and I'm not about to let that happen. Fruitvale Station is, for all intents and purposes, a masterpiece. It's beautifully shot by Rachel Morrison, features breathtaking performances from every actor involved, but particularly Michael B. Jordan, Melanie Diaz, Octavia Spencer, and Ariana Neal. It's based on a heartbreaking true story, and as previously mentioned, it's expertly written and directed by Ryan Coogler. Save for a handful of flashbacks, this movie takes place over the course of one day. It follows Oscar Grant through New Year's Eve 2008 up until he's murdered by the police in the early morning of the new year. Similar to movies like Training Day, Die Hard, or Do the Right Thing, everything we're shown is from a 24-hour window. I love movies like this. In fact, I love them so much that I made one myself. But Fruitvale Station does something remarkably unique right off the bat. The very first thing the movie does is show you how it ends. It opens with this actual footage of the tragic shooting and lets it play in full. This accomplishes many different things. The first thing it does is to reinforce the idea to the audience that this is an actual story. This in itself is something of a bold move. Movies based on true stories will more often than not end their film with footage or photos of the real people and events, but to open the film with that, at the risk of disconnecting the audience from the versions of these characters portrayed in the rest of the movie, is risky and commendable. But the biggest thing this accomplishes is that it adds a dreaded sense of inevitability to the entire movie. Because we know now from the start how Oscar's story ends. Every scene in the movie, no matter how seemingly insignificant or mundane, is injected with a sense of urgency and twinge of sadness. Every scene with Oscar and his daughter, instead of only being happy, is incredibly bittersweet. They clearly love and mean the world to each other, but we know that only one of them is going to make it through the day alive. Oscar's attempts to get his job back to make a better future for his family are rendered heartbreakingly inconsequential, with the knowledge that this is his last day he'll spend with them. You'd think that having this knowledge would keep us from getting emotionally involved with anybody in the movie, and in the hands of a lesser team that might have been true. But Coogler writes every character so perfectly, and every performance pulls you in, so that we immediately care about what happens to Oscar, even though we already know what ultimately happens to Oscar. Another great thing about Fruitvale Station is that the day the movie takes place in isn't a very exceptional one. If you look back at my first list of examples, Training Day takes place over the course of a rookie's first day in the narcotics unit of the LAPD. Die Hard follows John McClane as he has to rescue a group of hostages from terrorists. Do the Right Thing is about a man fighting for racial equality in the form of pizza ads and the struggle that this idea results in. Compared to those day in the life of films, nothing of note really happens in Fruitvale Station. Sure, it's Oscar's mom's birthday and New Year's Eve, but that's about it. He takes his daughter to school, gets a birthday card for his mom on behalf of his sister, tries to get his old job back, helps a lady at the store, and picks his girlfriend up from work. It's a pretty ordinary day, except we know that this ordinary day ends in tragedy. It's this juxtaposition of the day being so unremarkable and so tragic that makes me feel sick. As a viewer, we feel that if a character is going to die, he or she should go out in a blaze of glory, and the majority of movies have reaffirmed this idea. Seeing an innocent, good person die for no reason after an ordinary day is heartbreaking to us. It just seems wrong. We think that a day this seemingly mundane had no right to be this man's last. Another noteworthy thing about the opening footage is the amount of time we spend in it. It's shown for as long as it is in order to show the clip in full, but we also spend enough time in this footage to take in a lot of detail about it. We notice the train station, the police, the lineup, Oscar's black shirt, and finally the gun that goes off into Oscar's back. It's imperative that we take note of these things, as Coogler uses them as motifs to foreshadow the inevitable doom creeping closer throughout the entire movie. Tatiana sees people shooting firecrackers and imagines guns being fired. To calm her down, Oscar tells her about the great plans he has for the two of them for the morning, a morning that we know he'll never see. For about the first half of the movie, Oscar wears a white shirt. The audience has something of a subconscious sense of security in this. He's not wearing what he wears in the footage from the beginning of the movie, so there's still time to avoid the inevitable. But as soon as Oscar puts on that black shirt under his hoodie, we start to feel very on edge. Not long after, Oscar's mom tells him that he, Sofina, and their friends should take the train to see the fireworks. This doesn't mean anything to the characters, but as an audience, we're practically screaming at the screen, begging either of them to change their mind and save Oscar's life, but they don't. Immediately after Oscar and Sofina greet their friends at the train station, we recognize that they're the people in the police lineup from the footage. By this point, everything is pointing towards the moment being upon us, and as only moments later Oscar removes his hoodie so that he's just wearing the black t-shirt, and they arrive at Fruitvale Station, we know that it's happening now. We're both prepared for the moment and not ready in the slightest. And seeing two threads of Oscar's life, the woman from the store and the thug from prison, come together to unwittingly end it is brutal and unexpected. And the film doesn't let up from there. The last 15 minutes are devastating as Oscar's mom, Sofina, and Oscar's friends hope and pray that Oscar will pull through, while we know that every effort they make is in vain. When the news is delivered that Oscar didn't make it, they're all in shock. His mom breaks down and blames herself for telling him to take the train. Sofina picks Tatiana up, and shortly after, Tatiana utters the heart-wrenching final words of the film. This is one of the only movies that every time I watch it, I desperately want to change the ending. I want to reach through the screen, grab the characters, and explain to them how events fold out, and to somehow change the outcome. But that's impossible. The ending to the film, like the ending of the real Oscar's life, is set in stone. But it's a testament to Ryan Coogler and everyone involved that they're able to get this reaction out of the audience. He presents such a realistic and intimate environment and atmosphere that we feel like we almost have the power to change the event, even though we know that we're powerless to stop it. Coogler traps us in this curse of inevitability. He tells us up front how the story ends and dares us to try and change it. He paints a painful, beautiful, impassioned picture of Oscar's life, and we watch helplessly and lovingly as he does it.
In the film, the fact that we put the footage up front, that Ryan made the choice to kind of put the live footage up front, he sets the tone. You know, this is how it ends, you know, in the beginning. So somewhere in the middle, you somehow start to root for this guy that you want things to change. You would hope that his day is going to end differently, but it's not. And I think that's, you know, that's just.
How's it going? Thanks for watching that video. If you liked the video, hit the like button on the video, subscribe to see a video like it every Tuesday, and you can share this video with anybody that you think would enjoy it. Now I'm gonna enjoy the rest of my spring break. My spring break. It's snowing. What?